The Pentagon has revolutionized war, made UAVs or drones a staple of modern combat, set a standard for others to follow. But it is struggling to keep pace with its own success. Until now, it has relied upon experienced pilots to fly drones, but there simply aren't enough. Air Force cadet Greg Groves, who has never flown a plane in his life, could be part of the solution.
I feel like, maybe because I'm younger, I can pick up on things faster. I feel like I pick up on computer games, and when I do play video games occasionally with my friends, I can pick up on it fairly quickly.
He's been selected for an experimental training program at Creech Air Force Base, teaching those with the aptitude how to fly drones.
It's pretty clear that it's not a video game, and it is real life, and in what I do directly affects someone else halfway around the world.
His father was in the Army, his grandfather in the Air Force. When Groves leaves for Creech Air Force Base, he'll be the first in his family to go to war without fear of dying. But that's not why he signed up. He wants to protect his comrades in arms, just as his family has done for generations.
Directly supporting those troops that are actually on the ground in the fight, I think that's probably the biggest part of it for me, the most rewarding.
Groves' attitude and aptitude, if he has it, are exactly what his new commander says he's looking for.
If you look at younger people right now, they multitask much better than I do. They can do a lot of things with a lot of different information, gather all that in. That's certainly a skill set that we need.
But conducting remote warfare from Creech Air Force Base is not without difficulty, as Air Force Command Surgeon Corey Cornum found. He's studying unexpected stress among UAV operators.
I think the big difference is that when you're deployed, you're with all of your wingmen, your battle buddies, who are actually experiencing the thing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whereas when you go home to your family who is not in the battle every day, and your neighbors. That's good and bad.
And it's one of the things that we're learning about now as this has progressed. You know, you could drop off your kids at daycare, go to work, fly your UAV, drop bombs on some insurgents or what have you, and then come back at the end of the day, pick up your child and go home and fix supper, and it's just another day at the office. You know, so I think that's challenging, and we're finding that it's challenging. You know, some people deal with that much better than others.
What they are dealing with is new, never experienced before. A rapid transition from intense combat to home comfort, often in less than an hour. Some describe it as a version of post-traumatic stress disorder, often more associated with soldiers directly in harm's way. Author Peter Singer described one encounter with a frustrated non-commissioned officer.
She actually literally banged the table saying, "No one is paying attention to this issue of PTSD among my men and women. No one's paying attention to it." And she talked about a scene where they were flying a drone above a set of US soldiers that were killed. And the drone was unarmed at the time. And they couldn't do anything about it. They just circled above and they watched American soldiers die in front of them.
At Creech Air Force Base, commanders say if there is stress, it comes from relentless around-the-clock shift work.
Hey, hon. I'm on my way home.
Major Andrews, who has been fighting war this way for several years, says he's learned to cope. Like any good pilot, he says, he compartmentalizes his life, uses his commute to and from work to transition.
I'll think about work. I'll think about what happened, what I could have done better. Just kind of go through it. And usually by the time I get home, you know, I've sorted it all through my mind and kind of stick it away in a file and go on with life.
I think that 30-mile drive may be more of a blessing than we ever realized, because it does give you some amount of time. I don't know if 30 minutes is enough, but there is that block that allows people to decompress.
For Major Andrews, 30 minutes is proving enough. He says the benefits of fighting from home outweigh drawbacks of long overseas deployments.
We're here We have family, life at home, you know, weekend projects, honey-do lists, go out to dinner, friends back home that are civilian, you know, just things like that.
Whereas we have, you know, thousands of years of data on what it's like to go to war, really. Now we only have a few years of what it's like to go to war virtually. And so I don't think we have conclusive data.
Even before we fully understand the effects of virtual war on people, weaknesses in the technology are already pushing the planners to minimize the human role.
We're looking at a future where we can program unmanned aerial vehicles to operate autonomously and within groups among themselves.
With weapons.
With weapons or without weapons.
And that's only the beginning. The next phase, General Deptula expects, will enable a single drone to provide as many as 60 simultaneous live video feeds direct to combat troops. Some new drones will be as small as flies, others able to fly and walk. Defense Secretary Robert Gates has said the next generation of fighter aircraft, the F-35, that took decades to develop at a cost of more than $500 million each, will be the last manned fighter aircraft. Unimaginable a few years ago, new weapons appear destined to work with decreasing human input.
There's nothing that is a technologic barrier to using armed autonomous systems. And we think about it as a never, ever, ever thing, and yet it's not the technology that's holding us back. It's trying to figure out the applications of it.
The future with respect to how you use these unmanned systems or remotely piloted systems is really unlimited. And we need to open our minds and think more about capability and impact that we can use them to achieve, as opposed to how we've done business in the past.
Major Andrews has reconciled himself with the past, accepting he'll never fly his beloved F-16 again. His advice for cadets, like Second Lieutenant Groves: it's boring at times, but it's pretty good job satisfaction because you're making a difference. Unmanned technology is here to stay. Wars will never be the same again. If ever there's a moment to borrow a line from a science fiction movie, now is it. Mankind is boldly and irreversibly going where man has never been before, towards an uncharted era of warfare. An era where robot may fight robot, and the only boundaries are human imagination.